Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Person Never Rest. It's been an eventful couple of days away and I trust you guys didn't miss me too much. But whether you missed me or you didn't miss me, I'm sure back. For today's episode, I made a couple of last minute tweaks because to be honest, the plan was to have a girl here for episode 6. But then this my guy just entered Abuja for like 3 days and I don't really have any idea when next I'm going to see him. So in my mind I'm like, as they hot, let's just record something one time, sharp. But I promise you guys, episode 7, maybe even episode 8 would have I would have a girl here. Yes, it will be with a girl. So the guy in question is Jeff. His name is Jeff. Jeff, do you want to say hi or should I just continue?
Yeah, continue.
Yeah, I know say you don't go on talk high. But one thing you guys need to know about my relationship with Jeff. I don't like the fact that I'm using the word relationship, but one thing you guys need to know about my rapport with Jeff is the fact that I don't know, Jeff has radical views on a lot of things and we hardly ever agree on basic issues, talk less of advanced issues. So there's a high possibility that we'll end up arguing about something or something on this episode, but I'm just going to try my best to keep the conversation civil and hope that we don't go at it or we don't end up arguing about something ridiculous today. So let's start with something very simple. Intro, backstory, but this is going to be about your life, Jeff. So I know for a fact that you didn't grow up in the East. I know that because you speak Hausa fluently and you speak Igbo as well. So you grew up in the North. You spent your first 16 years in the North, right?
Yeah.
So let's just start from there. Then hopefully we can enter other places in terms of the conversation. But let's start from the fact that you grew up in the North. So what was it like growing up in where did you grow up and what was it like?
Okay, so I grew up in Jos. Hello everyone. I know I did not introduce myself before because he was giving his grand introduction.
Okay, talk.
So I grew up in Jos, Plateau State, home of peace and tourism.
Jesus Christ.
That eventually turned out to be
home of violence.
Chaos, so that was my experience. It was a very quiet place, conservative. I guess I was spoiled because that whole lifestyle of living a very simple, conservative, contented, lifestyle affects you basically, especially when you grow up like that, wherein there are people somewhere living almost like the complete opposite. They're not really contented with anything. They always want to go for more, They see somebody doing something, the thing is working out, they probably start doing that stuff. They put their head there, they're proud of what they have. If you have something, they would respect you for what you have, probably more than someone who's even older. So it's like a sharp contrast, living this and then going to that.
You're talking about moving from the North to the East.
Yeah. So when I eventually moved to the East. Yeah.
Okay, when did you move to the East?
15.
You were 15 years old?
Yeah, I think I was 15. I was visiting, time to time. And even then I was seeing some elements of that, but it was just for a short period.
Let me get what you're saying because, say, with you now, I always try make sure I understand exactly what you're saying. You're saying that you lived in the North.
Okay.
You moved to the East around 15, 16.
Yeah.
And you noticed major differences between
the people
living
the environment,
in the North, the people and the environment, and between the East and the North.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, but I need you to be. I don't want vague stuff. I want specifics. What were the major differences between the people in the North and the people in the East?
Major differences.
Yeah, not major, anything that you noticed, but in one or two words.
one or two words. So there are many things. So at least price of goods.
Forget, I'm not talking about economy. You know, this is all free down for book. I'm talking about things you notice in the people. Like
Okay,
things that you
people
can
in
only
the
get
north
from
are basically
first-hand experience.
contented. Like they're contented with what they have, basically.
Okay.
I think they are also conservative. I think they also they don't respect people based on what the person has. Like they don't. Let's say they don't worship money or something. I don't want to be too, because this will come out as offensive, but
No. If you offend,
they don't.
you can offend anybody you want. Nobody go come beat you for here.
They don't worship. They don't sing. Like there's no like a culture where they sing praise songs for people who they have money and all that. Like
Okay,
there's
like we sing
like
for
almost like
Cubana.
like the full culture there, where they have like a full album praising people. Where they even make the songs about it.
Okay.
I used to hear those songs when I was small. Dun, dun,
Don't sing
dun,
for here.
dun, 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 dun. Aye,
Jeff.
Aye.
What song is that?
Those songs I heard when I was very small.
Is that a song praising somebody?
Yeah, and then they called the person, they called what he was doing, they called other people, called what they were doing, talk about the money they were making and all that. Like that was a song that was,
These songs were sung in the East.
they were sung by Igbo people, Easterners.
Okay, about
money, and wealth and affluence.
Okay, and you're trying to say that will never happen in the North.
There's no culture like that there.
Okay.
People could do stuff like that, but it's not like a culture. It's not like people like when I noticed that in the East, in the family, they respect those that had money more than those that were older.
Yeah.
Especially in the East, you get. So those are like very sharp differences.
So you're saying that, not sure, Igbo people like money and they act towards money.
Everybody likes money, but I think for Igbos now is about, I don't know, praising those that have it, showing them more better preferences, treating them better, which pushes other people to want to get that money, and then they go into doing many things that that will help them get that money, whether legal or illegal. So the push or the drive to have money is more the disappointment and the self-esteem that comes with not, or lack of self-esteem that comes with not having money is probably more in the East. But in the North, you don't have that. There's no need for that because everybody is basically contented with.
Oh, okay, I get that.
Yeah, with what they have. Yeah.
So money aside, like I want other stuff. Like let's say from like your relationship with your classmates, the ones that grew up in the North. I don't want to make it about money. I don't want it to feel like it's an origin thing. Maybe where you're from. Understand? So I want to know if, let's say, if you had classmates or people that grew up in the North but they are Igbo, and if you had normal classmates that grew up in the East and are Igbo. I'm talking about two Igbo people now besides you.
Yeah.
Whether there was that category of people and whether you noticed any significant differences between those people.
Yeah, I did notice.
That doesn't involve money.
I did notice, but they were I think we like saying negligible, normally, because I think I know someone who grew up in Kaduna, in Kanu. Sorry, I know somebody who grew up in Jos, also two people, and then these are people like I have relations with, like I've interacted with them for a long time, at least more than 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So I would say I think I vibed more with these people. They were slower
in the North.
It was easier. It was easier to vibe with them. They were slow. I think slower to anger.
To anger.
Yeah, I think a little bit more amenable. They, when I talk to them, their views. I think they were more open-minded,
more emotionally intelligent.
Yeah, you could say that they were open-minded. Like they were able to accept. They were flexible with their thoughts. Apart from being smart, they were flexible in the way they thought. A very smart person in the East, I guess, would pride himself in that, in being knowledgeable about certain things, and so you can't easily convince him otherwise. Sort of, you get. And then, but then those my guys from the North, or guys or girls from the North, could interact with you, relate with you, talk about those things, and then agree to disagree.
Okay. So
this is just, that's why I say this is minor. I guess I will not.
No, it's. I don't think it's minor. I think the fact that you noticed it means it's there. but it's just that it's not something that people
Point
feel.
out.
Yeah, it's not something that people feel it's important. So you just brush it off because even the words you're using, things like amenable, emotionally intelligent, all those open-minded. These are things that like most Nigerians will regard it as big. Like, I say something. Yeah. So I get that, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because I understand big words at least. I go. So, what I'm going to ask you now is, you've kind of pointed out that like your upbringing, that's environment, then like probably parenting. Those things play like a vital role in these things you just mentioned, because that's what differentiates your guys that grew up in the north and from your guys the other guys that grew up in the east is the environment and the parenting and probably the people they met and all those stuff. So I'm going to switch up a bit. Let's move into something. Let's move into like creating those, because from what you said, like the society will be slightly better with those people, like the people that are more amenable, emotionally intelligent and all those stuff. We're about to enter the phase of our life where we actually get to be responsible for raising these people. Or you're going to be a father figure in somebody's life. You understand? So let's talk about parenting for like a bit. Which is good. Like, I like the fact that we're going to talk about the whole father figure thing. Maybe this episode 7 that I promise you guys that there will be a girl here. Maybe they can talk about the parenting, but from the motherhood point of it. But for now, let's focus on the whole fatherhood thing. So what would you do? What would you do differently, let's say, from like our parents or from our fathers? Like, talking about like getting your child into the world, one, and like raising the child to not be a hoodlum.
Well, normally, based on what I've said before, you would expect that, okay, I would want to raise a child in the north, right? But then there are a lot of advantages to raising a child in the east also. Because for me, from my own perspective or from my own experience, I had to catch up on the whole, go get it. The
street.
whole, ginger, like,
Street.
Come out, person shout for you, shout for her. You know who I be, like, you enter a shop, you say, go and call your boss, go and call your oga, I want to speak with him.
Do you know who I am?
You enter keke, and you tell him to take it somewhere and he's not taking it that place, you're shouting at him, you know what you want. And because you have the money to pay for what you want, you're ready to fight anybody that doesn't want to give you what you want.
People are very confrontational.
We're been there having that, that kind of. So if I raise a child who is so cool, like in the north, who is just a jolly good fellow, he might not survive in some places. And then we are looking globally now, because that child too might not even survive in places like New York or all these cities where people are actually very confrontational. People are loud and stuff. Lagos, people are loud, So it's about creating the balance. And then for me now, my whole thinking is now global. I have a global mindset. So I'm looking at a child that could grow up and survive anywhere in the world, right? Okay. So it goes beyond just and east, like goes beyond the north and the east.
So what's the plan for
in giving birth to a child now, like you get. So I've been doing my whole research, right? So I'm thinking of having a child who is described in some science field as a designer baby, right? A designer baby. So
see, thank God I put out disclaimer. Say I know they agree with your views. What? Okay, so designer.
So it's basically the normal in vitro fertilization. Children got into in vitro fertilization, right? But IVF.
Okay.
So you know what happens in IVF? They get the man's ish, they get the woman's ish, they fertilize.
You're allowed to say things like that on this podcast.
Everybody knows what ish is.
Okay.
At least they get the point from the context. Okay. They get the man's ish, they get the woman's ish, and then they join together and they form a new ish together. Okay. So that ish is pushed into the woman's womb to give birth to a child, right? But this case now, when those issues come together,
okay, stop saying ish. Stop saying ish. I'm begging.
Because we can't get too scientific in this. So okay, let me go down.
When they come together.
So before they put that into the woman's womb, that's what they call pre-implantation genetic diagnosis. So it's more like genetic editing or gene editing. So where they look out for traits that are more desirable, right? And then they can remove traits that are less desirable. So what are the less desirable traits? You're looking at hereditary diseases, like Down syndrome, obesity, cancer, things that could be passed down from your parents, right?
Yeah.
And then they are looking for desirable traits like intelligence, beauty, speed, strength, height, and then maybe more superficial traits like color of eyes, color of hair, length of hair, and all that. So for this now, when you put your child in that position, when you put yourself in that position where you can decide the kind of child you want, you can first of all remove the hereditary sicknesses remove those things. Then by that you've expanded his lifespan. You get the what is out there is about the healthier child, and then you've expanded his lifespan by let's say 30 years. You get so that's first of all by removing. Then by adding, you're giving him an advantage to survive in the world. You get he might make him more attractive, more smarter, and then stronger. So he could survive as an athlete. He could survive in the academic world. He could survive in the entertainment world. He could be talented and all. You get so you're not giving birth to a child wherein you have to spend a lot of money, force him to go to school and do such and such so that he can become good in the environment. You've done all that at the early stages.
Your solution, like your idea of making the perfect individual for society is by creating the individual in a lab. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I guess. But we're not really creating in the lab per se. You get.
Okay, but
they are doing basic in vitro fertilization. But before then, what the main point or the key point where this comes in is that pre-implantation genetic diagnosis. That's whole diagnosis that comes in before it is pushed in. So you guys are already doing the whole lab thing. It's happening everywhere in the world. The whole IVF is happening everywhere. What I'm adding or what we are doing now is PIGD, pre-implantation genetic diagnosis.
Okay.
You get.
Just let me stop here. I don't know much about IVF and PIGD and all those things, and obviously I would love to know a lot more about it, and I don't know if I have the time to give you to break it down. I don't even know if you know enough about it to break it down. But like what I think I know is these things are not exactly common. It's not easily available to everybody. I'm sure it's expensive, and I'm not sure everybody listening to this thing now, even if they bought this idea, would be able to even afford to be able to create his child just like that. Understand? Yeah. So when I asked you what you would do differently, I like this thing you just said, because like it just opened my mind up to something that I've never even thought about before. But I need to know what you do differently as a parent, not like raising this child that is already what's it called? That is already like a robot. I need to know what you do differently raising the child. I'm
raising a child now without the PGD.
Okay.
Raising the child without the PGD.
Whether the person has PGD or not, just how you raise your baby, how you raise your child.
Okay, like the reason why I was talking about PGD, even though it's not commonly attainable now, and even though it's not, as practical as people would at this point, and it's not even legal in many countries. The reason why I was talking about PGD and the reason why I would want to do it myself, if hopefully it becomes more practicable, in the next coming years, is because you've solved a lot of problem at that stage.
Yeah,
you have to do less raising of the child. Like you have to put in less work raising the child.
Yeah.
So let's assume that the child did not go through PGD. I'll put two case scenario.
Yeah.
The child did not go through PGD. Then I would have to raise a child wherein I would see the talents he has on his own, right? And then I'll work on improving that talent. So if he knows how to run from 5 or 6, I'll make sure he starts going for classes or training, sports training and all, to make sure that he improves on it, and then that will be priority even above advanced education. Sporting will become priority above advanced education. He will go to classes, he will also learn, he will move with the trend of the world, and then he's going to be computer savvy, and not just computer savvy, he's going to be a programmer if possible. He must have a skill that involves technology, basically.
That's if he's computer savvy or what, or whether or not he must be pushed into programming.
He must have a skill that is computer related.
So how is that?
Because the world is moving towards that area, he has to have a skill that would make him make sure that he's employable. Okay.
Well, I was going to ask how that's any different from what our parents did, like pushing all of us to medicine, pharmacy, civil.
Yeah, because our parents didn't do what I did. I said they were focusing on his talent first of all. You get, and then he's going to have his skill. It's an additional skill he's going to have on top of his certificate. So you're looking at three things now. He's going to be his talent comes first, then the regular education, and then the computer, because the world is moving towards the metaverse, right?
Hey, Jeff. Jeff. Hey, God in heaven, what have I done today? Wait. Okay, see here.
The Web 3 is coming.
Okay, so you just talk like Terminator here. I need to know. Okay, you've clearly mapped out how you plan on making this guy a force to be reckoned with. Yeah. But I feel like a lot of things that our own parents, where they might have failed, which is why I need you to tell me where you plan on improving on. I feel like a lot of things that our own parents might have failed at is like creating like a proper relationship between parent and son. Like parents and son need to be close. A lot of us are not that close. I think it's even now that we're getting closer to our parents as we're getting older that we're starting to understand.
Okay.
Yeah, but as a child or as a growing child, most people weren't really close to their parents. There wasn't that relationship. It was just duty. Go to school, provide. You understand? So I need you to, I don't know, this one I'm sure they can build it in the lab. This one I am sure, like you have to parent it out. So how are you going to go about this, and how are you going to go about it differently from what you experienced?
I think some aspects of his training has to be provided by me. In the process of providing that training, then we're going to build a bond. You get? So
while training him.
Yeah, so when it comes to relationships, how he relates with people, or how he's going to relate with women, right? Or how he's going to do some certain kind of businesses, right? It's going to be me and him. You get?
Yeah,
me teaching him myself.
Yeah, assuming it's going to be a boy.
Or me and her. You get? Or my wife and her. You get?
Okay, if not her, you can send that to your wife. This guy.
I say me and her, or there's an or there.
Okay.
O-R. So it's going to be me. By the process of teaching, we learn. I would also learn from him, because he's going to be in a new generation. Like, it's going to be a kid born into a different generation. So I would learn from him, and he would learn from me. Yeah, so it's going to be an inflow of knowledge forward and back, forth and back and back. Back and forth.
Okay.
So we're going to learn from each other. But I understand what you mean. I need to have a relationship with my kid, but that relationship will stem from me teaching him certain things that society would not teach him, because there are things I had to learn on my own. Some I had to learn the hard way. So I have to make sure I'm the one who puts those information, or tell him about those things. You get, especially maybe in terms of relationships, and in terms of managing anger, in terms of managing money, in terms of business, in terms of friendships and stuff. You get, there are things I have to show him how to do. You get, there are things I have to teach him how to do, or we need to do together, so that he would learn. Because children learn from watching. You do yourself rather than from receiving instructions, so he has to watch me do some certain things. That means he has to do certain things with me. You get?
No, I totally agree with the whole. You need to spend time with your kids. That one a must. If I'm going to add to that, I feel like me on my from my own perspective, I've never really thought about parenting from the perspective of creating the child you want. I always thought about it from the perspective of, bro, like, I take what I get. Like, for me, that's like where the whole unconditional love thing stems from. Like, I have to be able to accept my child, like, however it comes out.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm going to add to the whole spending time with your kids' parties. One, like, these are things I noticed or I've pointed out, is when you're interacting with your kids, you need to be able to make sure that their emotions, like, they feel valid. Because there was this thing I was reading about how, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, a child losing his toy is like the equivalent of a king losing his crown. Like, they feel the same pain, kind of. And when you think about it, it makes sense. Like, the child would throw himself on the ground, cry, be sad. The same thing happens when a king loses his crown. So when in your interaction with your child, when your child comes and tells you that because that's part of the problems I feel like some of our parents didn't really hammer on, is the fact that your child might be going through something and you just dismiss it like, come on, waiting this boy don't see, like, you're literally 6 years old. But the fact is, these guys, children, are way more aware than you give them credit for. Because even me thinking back now, like, I was watching I was scrolling through something on Twitter and I saw something about 2002 World Cup. And I remember that as a 2002 World Cup, I was even up to 6 years old.
But you knew about,
bro. First thing says, my father gave me one thing. I was recording all the scores. So, like, it's now that it's hitting me that I was like 5 then. And I still remember Nigeria's first match, Batistuta scored, it was 1-0. I remember the next match, Sweden, it was 2-1, Agahua scored, England 0-0. I remember Pauletta's hat-trick. I remember Germany beating Saudi Arabia 8-0. I remember Delima, Oliver Kahn. Like, these things are fresh in my head.
Yeah.
And I could barely read that. Like, I remember where I was when I was watching all this stuff. So, and I know it might sound ridiculous, but I know how aware I was at that point, and I was a child. So I just. But
then there are certain adults who will do things in front of you, thinking you don't know about.
Thinking you don't know what the hell is going on, and you're seeing this now. You know what it is.
Yeah.
You know exactly what it is, and even if it didn't make sense then, it's stuck in your head. So, like, when I feel like more and more parents should treat children more like adults and less like children, because children are rather. I don't know, they are smarter than you give them credit for, especially the kids who are going to give birth to, because kids are getting smarter and smarter, exposure, like all the internet and stuff. So better treat that guy like a full grown man. If not, then there's still the issue of attention, because you need resources to raise a child, and I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about like mental resources, time, like that kind of stuff. So one thing I feel like we should all do collectively, you see that thing that our parents are doing, they are averaging 6 kids, some even 10. Now everybody should just agree that just no past 3, highest 4. Like, you need 4 self plenty. Like, you need to actually make time to raise, like, you need to give birth to people, like the amounts that you can handle. Don't be say you can go born 7 thinking say an investment, because that's part of why they did all that. So they think say based on investment. So you carry 7 kids, put them out there, one must blow. Ponzi scheme. So I feel like that's what we should do differently. So, like, just make them feel valid. Point out when your kids are wrong. Point out when they are right. Then apologize to your kids, because all those things they get stuck. Like, don't just invalidate what they are saying or how they are feeling.
Yeah, our parents are always right.
Because I grew up thinking my parents are always right. Anything, even when they know you are wrong, they'll just tell you to stop crying. I'm sorry, when you know, then they know you're right. They'll just tell you to stop crying. So that's just the thing. So that was what I was expecting before you started giving me all these Ellen Haaland robotics.
Yeah, but then those are common thinking, things we say we're going to do.
Yeah.
Right? But we don't eventually do it because we have to work. And then we have to, the cost of living rises every day.
Yeah.
So the amount of work we need to put in also increases. We need to keep meeting up, with the standard out there. Even in advanced countries, that's the way it is. You have to keep working. You have to keep paying bills. You have to keep working and working. So people are having less time. You get less and less time. So when you say you give your child attention, you give your child this or do this, it's really, really difficult. It's getting more impractical. So then why don't we now solve it at that level? At the embryo stage, the guy has, or at the child, at the fetal stage, whatever stage, the child already has that intelligence, right? So when he grows up, well, he just needs to be guided, and then he picks up from there.
But do you think it's impractical to give your children attention? I don't think it is.
If you want to make money, if you want to survive in certain climes, then you have to work hard. So you could be giving him attention and then lose out and giving him quality life, or you could be giving him quality life and lose out and giving him attention. So that's just me being realistic. You get? I can see where the world is going. I can see the solutions. So if we can accept if we can acknowledge the problems, then we're going to accept the solutions.
Yeah.
You get? So you're saying all these things that anybody would say,
okay,
but we can't really do. You get? And then I've provided the solution that seems too abstract.
Done it. People, I feel like I get what you're saying. I feel like the first problem is that everybody believes that they should be a parent.
Okay.
You understand? That's why we have so many bad parents, because some of us were never supposed to handle kids.
Many of us. You have
exactly.
many people.
So but I wouldn't want you to stay here and tell people that it's undoable, because I know people that made time for their kids and still made money. You get? It's just and that's why, like, most times, like, most people don't have, except like disaster occurs, most people don't have one parent. Like, it's a team effort. Like, you and your partner will know how you run the finances and run the making time part. You get?
But here's the sad truth. Even some of us who want to spend time with our kids are probably passing down the wrong information, because not every one of us are actually smart enough to raise children, or smart enough to advise another person. You get? I know the people I grew up with. I know the people in my environment in certain places. I know the people, my classmates. I know there are people who have really bad attitudes. They will pass down that attitude to their kids. Some people have anger problems, have anger issues. So first of all, we all need training, right? So that we don't pass down rubbish to our kids in the form of attention. So some will actually give that child that attention and be dosing down rubbish on that kid.
Yeah, you're just.
You get? So it's a good thing to say, let us spend time to our kids. But what are we really doing while we are spending time with our kids? Yeah. You get? So there's a lot of orientation that needs to go on that most people don't even talk about. It still boils down to this whole PGD something.
So what if because what you're saying now makes perfect. It's just like when, like, the house girl is teaching your child English, like, they're spending time teaching English, then you hear your son speak one rubbish from Palo. So a lot of people are spending time with their kids, but, like, they are teaching their wickedness. Yeah. So that's possible. So what if, because with your whole science route now, like, you're creating,
I'm just creating one solution,
one type
of solution.
Yeah, you're creating one type of solution.
Yeah.
But, like, the thing is, like, this hit me by so much surprise that I didn't even know how to counter this your solution. Like, we were normal, bro, brought in IVF. But I don't know if the same way you can be teaching your child in the wrong path. Like, what if you select all this stuff and it just doesn't, I don't know, like, there's just this thing about something being artificial. Like, what if you give him too many powers, he gets confused?
No, that's not
because there's such a thing. Because there's in the end,
because you're on your own now. You're smart, right? Like, you're smart, and you can attribute that to your parents, not from what they did at home, but from at least the genes, some of the genes they give to you.
Heredity
You get,
plays an
you
important part in your-
can. So once you
brain.
give a child those things inherent in him, you don't. If a child who has the brain capacity, even if he's playful, he will still do well in class. You get, and then he will make probably even better decisions than you. You get. So with PGD, you're making the child the child you normally would not have yourself. You and your wife cannot produce this kid, but then you're able to have that particular type of kid. You get, it's out of your gene pool, out of your family tree. You've made him. So that child might be the breakout kid in terms of being smart or making wise decisions or whatever. You get. So those are the advantages you could get with a kid like that. You get.
What I'm going to do now, because
you get. Now I would love to talk about those things. Let us be good to our kid. Let's not do bad things in front of our kid. Let's not. But that would mean all of us, everybody need an education. Even myself, I don't even think I'm capable of raising a kid right now. You get. But there are people who are not even as who are not good in making decisions like me, who are already raising children.
Yeah.
You get. So all of us need an education on raising children.
Yeah.
Have we in school? Did we go through any course like raising children or raising another human being? Any course like that? We didn't.
No.
Same way we didn't do business. We didn't do relationship education. You get, so there are many things we are inept about as adults, or there's a lot of ineptitude going around.
But there are a lot of other things they didn't teach you that you're good at.
I guess, but there are a lot of ineptitude going around. You get, but all of us as adults just assume that we know stuff when we don't really know stuff.
Yeah.
You get, so but let us fix those things. You get, I know some certain things because I've gone to do research.
Yeah.
You get, but that was me on my own. Nobody told me to go and do it on my own. I decided to go and do it. You get, I guess it's because there's still some kind of hereditary whatever passed down to me that made me so I don't know, maybe wise enough to want to go and wise enough to see that there's a lot of foolishness around me that I want to get the right wisdom. You get, like independent thinking, sort of. You get, because the environment you're a product of your environment, basically, and the fact that we don't even accept that we are a product of our environment is troubling. We call somebody now in Saudi Arabia and tell him about, let me touch just a little bit about religion. Tell him about the fact that he's only Muslim because he was born into a Muslim family, and he's there. He'll say no, that's not true. If you tell somebody to in Nigeria or someone in the East, whoever, he's a Christian, you tell him you're only a child of God because you were born into a Christian family and they forced you to go to church and all that. You grew up like that. That is why you believe Christianity is the number one. They would deny. They would say no, that is not why they are Christians. They are only Christians because they are children of God. They were born and whatever. You get, so we do not acknowledge the fact that our environment plays a very huge part in the way we are formed. You get, so let us give birth to that kid that would come into this world, see everything around him, but be an independent thinker. Okay. You get break out of the general foolishness and decide to be wise by picking out those informations that actually the truth, sort of. You get, it's more like attacking the essence.
Hold on. You don't kill me. You don't bust my head. See, the thing is, first things first, I can no longer contribute to this conversation objectively, because first things first, you came armed. I don't know what I can tell you again. Well, what I'm going to say is, this conversation don't pass today. It don't pass today matter. So I think, because things like this I always get to the root of it. So just to not have an episode that would set people off on the wrong path, I'm actually going to take my time and do comprehensive research on this thing. The next time I talk about it, you might not be here, or I might give you a call. I don't know if your internet is strong enough, but I'm going to actually solo episode this whole Jeff thing. Let's get to the root of it and see if it actually makes sense or if you're saying absolute rubbish. But for now, I can't be judged. I can't do anything about it. Then another thing is that this episode is getting way too long. So for the sake of the people that are listening, and I need to put it at a stop for now. But it's been more fun than I thought. I knew that you were going to come here and say nonsense, but I didn't. I really like this angle. I really like this angle that you brought here, because like it's not something normally I'll think about, and I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for the fact that you actually came and did this, and maybe it was your trip to Abuja was worth it after all. Maybe people feel say you be smart guy or say you be mumu. Anyone. But last, man, it's been really fun, and I'm just going to end it here. So guys, this has been episode 6. You're free to hit me up anywhere, WhatsApp. I just realized I don't even have like my bio and stuff on my description, so maybe I'll put like, I don't want to put my number, so maybe I'll put my Instagram or my Twitter or something. But like those of you that have my number, you could text me and tell me what you think about this particular topic and this particular episode, because this one passed me. So till then guys, thank you for listening. I'm really grateful that you listened this far, and I hope to see you here on the next episode. So bye from me and bye from Jeff. Jeff, say bye.
Yeah, goodbye guys.
All right now.